Okay, good morning, everyone. It is Wednesday, May 5th, 2021, and we're going to start our pre-market analysis here. I am noticing some bear signals here off of the overnight high, but we are now advancing up into that level, so we'll have to see here. But we'll start with again, just to kind of check out what's going on with our super high time frames here. It'll be really quick. Nothing's changed on the quarterly. Nothing's really changed on the monthly. We again have 3 weeks here for this to develop, so really can't read too much into what we're seeing at the moment. From the previous candle that is officially closed, still nothing's changed. Very bullish, no signs of reversal. On the weekly here, pretty much the same story. No signs of reversal. Of course, we do have that kind of bearish looking doji there on the weekly that closed last Friday. But outside of that, really no clear signs of exhaustion. Definitely no divergence or anything like that. When we get to our daily, that's where we had that bearish indication on the 29th and we got the pullback. And then you can see that on the 3rd, on Monday, we tried to recover and we pushed, but then ultimately the bears pulled us back down and we have this pretty bearish looking doji here. And then we got this more protracted sell-off yesterday. So today it's going to be key to see if we can hold up above 53 here, push up above 85.50 and come up to test some of the highs that we made in the previous days here. So this 53 is 50% of that previous bar. If we hold above that, that is somewhat of a bullish indication. And ideally, they're going to hold this 2050 area if we do get some kind of pullback. But once that 2050 breaks, things are going to start to look a little bit more bearish there. And this 01 quarter we have on the chart was that level we were looking at to hold in order for our bullish bias to hold back on the 20th of April. And so that did end up holding, and we got this push from basically 41.18, 41.20, all the way to about 42.11. So not too bad. So we'll keep an eye on this. Currently, what I'm noticing is that overall there is a bit of bullishness off the lows. So we don't have any bear signals per se from a divergence perspective. But if you look at the low we made at 2050 and you compare it to the previous swing lows here, and maybe we could exaggerate this a little bit, you can see the previous swing low here before the push, we were actually much higher in RVI. So we have a decent divergence there off of 2050. So again, that's also going to be key to watch this morning. If we can hold that, that will hold that signal, which will then be more of a bullish indication. But in more ideal would be for them to hold that 50% area around 53 and continue to push. So we'll have to see. Remember, I have that bearish indication off the current highs. So you don't see it on the daily. You don't really see it on the weekly. When you jump down to the 4-hour, that's where it starts to become a little more clear here that as we push, we're starting to get kind of a pretty strong bearish divergence off the highs. And so we're going to have to keep this in mind here. That this might end up meaning that we just get just a little bit of a pullback to bounce and continue up. But currently, at least from the 4-hour perspective, we've got a pretty clear bear divergence. And then this other line we're going to have to get rid of because this was back yesterday when we were looking to build our bias in the morning, and it ended up blowing right through that low that we were looking at the moment. So we have that bearish indication there on the 4-hour. When we jump to our 60-minute, you can also see not only did we have a pretty bearish indication from the Globex session from yesterday afternoon into yesterday evening right here, but when we got the pullback after that indication and we pushed higher here, you can see that we're still getting some bearish indications. Now we are in this pretty strong bull push, so in a way you could argue this is a counter trend indication, and so this might not end up holding. And if it does hold, it might only be for a small pullback. But currently, we have to keep in mind that the 4-hour and the 1-hour do have some potential bullish indications here. So we'll keep that in mind, and we'll jump down to our intermediate time frames to see if they are agreeing here. So currently you can also see from this, actually we're on the 10, let's jump to the 30 here first. And so from the 30-minute perspective, you also get this same situation where we've pushed up now to this 41, let's get the number here, 41.79, but we do have this bearish indication. We also have the same indication from that previous swing high that we saw on the 1-hour. So we pushed up. And so we pushed down in price, but pushed up on RVI. And then in the most local area here, you can see we pushed to make this high at 79, our overnight high, and also got the bearish indication. So we're going to want to watch that level coming into the open. And it looks like we're just about to go up and test it right now. So this could be negated, but we have to kind of keep in mind that, you know, a number of these time frames are giving the same indication. So there might be some follow through here. So let's look here as well. On the 10-minute, you have essentially have the same situation. In fact, let me redraw that. If you look at all these previous highs and then you look at what RVI has done here, you basically make lower highs on RVI but higher highs in price. So we're right here at 79. It'll be interesting to see if we end up kind of busting through and maybe making a slightly higher high for it to finally drop here. We do have the KP not too far above, but pretty much every time frame from the 4-hour down to that 10-minute was giving us indications of bearishness. Now again, we're going against the trend. The trend is pretty bullish here, and so we have to keep that in mind. Outside of that, there's really not much else to be said. What I also want to point out is if we step back and we look at this whole push down from about 0250, the high we made on Monday, we are right at the 61.8 retracement currently. We just broke through just a little bit, so maybe you can argue we're closer to around 70% retracement of that whole push down. So we know how important that can be, and we also do have some decent resistance in the market here, right around, I would call that 82.75. So just right by that KP pretty much. So we'll have to watch here, and as we get closer to the open, we do have another 15 minutes here. We can reassess and get a decent bias going into the open. And so there was the test of 79. Looks like we are pulling back from it, so we could potentially get a pullback here, at least to test 62, if not come all the way back to 53, which was 50% of the previous day.